Hello everyone! Today I'm going to be making a vegan mushroom risotto. First of all, look at these portobello mushrooms I got. $1.49 on the reduced rack. So I'm going to use some of those. I'm also going to be using some cremini mushrooms, which I have here. So these are the ingredients I'll be using. Some mushrooms, some vegetable broth, no salt added, olive oil, about a good chunk of an onion there. I'm going to use red wine vinegar because I don't actually have any white wine, and of course the arborio rice. Alright guys, so this is what I am basing my recipe off of. I'm going to veganize this, and I'm making half the recipe. This calls for 6 cups of chicken broth, so I'm using the vegetable broth instead, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 pounds of different mushrooms, portobello and white. I have portobello and cremini, and instead of 2 shallots, I've just got this onion here I've cut up. And I'm using, instead of 1.5 cups of arborio rice, 3/4 of a cup. And instead of white wine, I'm going to use red wine vinegar. Apparently that will help with the acid. I also have rice wine vinegar. I'll decide which one I'll use. That one's lighter. Salt. Instead of the butter, I'm using vegan butter, and it says here to use freshly grated parmesan cheese. I have the Go Veggie parmesan cheese. I may add it, I may not. So the first thing that it says to do is to warm your broth in a pan over low heat. So I'm turning on my stove. I'm going to put my broth in there, and then I'm going to add, it says 2 tablespoons of the oil. I will put a tablespoon of the oil. Oh, I see. 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a large pan. Stir in the mushrooms. Okay, so that's why I was confused. I'm going to start warming the broth. In another pan, I will saute my mushrooms, and then I will continue with what I'm doing. So I have 3 cups of the vegetable broth in here instead of 6 cups, because I'm making half. And now I'm going to start with the mushrooms. So it says to add 2 tablespoons of oil in here and stir in the mushrooms. So guys, I'm just going to measure this out. I think 1 dollop is about, okay, I'm just going to do this. Maybe that's, I'm not sure if that's quite a tablespoon. So that might be 2 tablespoons of oil right there. And so I'll put this to medium-high heat. And I'm going to put the mushrooms in, I'm going to saute them. Basically, once they're sauteed and soft, about 3 minutes, you remove the mushrooms and their liquid and set aside. So this is just about 2 1/8 of a cup of mushrooms. You're just going to cook until soft. Now you're going to add your onions to a pan and saute for about a minute. And once you've sauteed your onions, you're going to then put the arborio rice into the pan, enough that the rice is coated with the oil. So of course make sure you have enough oil in the pan. And I'm using a different pan. I'm just keeping the pan with the mushrooms off to the side, putting the rice into this one, and I'm going to then saute everything together. You're going to saute the rice for about 2 minutes until it's fully coated and it gets a little slight color to it, as you can see. And once you've done that, that's when you're going to add the wine. Now I'm putting red wine vinegar, and I meant to put less than what I would have put if I put wine, since this was vinegar. I didn't. And I'll tell you how it all turned out when I get to that point. But anyway, this is the time when you'll add some of the wine, and you're just going to mix. Risotto is all about mixing constantly and nursing that to make it into the delicious dish that it is. Now you're going to add half a cup of the broth to the rice and stir until it's mixed in well and dissolved. And you're going to keep adding a half a cup of the broth to the rice after every few minutes, and ultimately you'll be stirring this for 15 to 20 minutes until it's all tender. It will take time, but just be patient. Patience is key when you're making risotto. So my first batch of water has dissolved, and now I'm just adding another half cup, and I'm going to continue to stir, and I'm just doing this until I've used all the broth, or until it is to the consistency that you desire. I also changed pans because I wasn't certain the other one was going to work well in terms of the stick factor. This one is a non-stick pan, so this is what I'm using now just to make sure my rice does not burn. And here I am adding another batch of the broth and giving this another stir. Okay, so once all of the liquid is incorporated, you're going to remove it from the heat, and you're going to stir in the mushrooms and the juice from the mushrooms. And then you're going to add your vegan butter, your chives. So you're going to put 2 tablespoons of vegan butter in there. And you can also put parmesan. So I've got, that's about a tablespoon of chives. I'm leaving some that I'm going to add fresh on top as well. And you know what? Since it calls for parmesan, not measured. That the red wine vinegar does not taste as strong. Okay, so there you go. There's the risotto. And there it is. And let's do the taste. Get some mushrooms in there. And it's delicious. I can taste the hint of the parmesan actually nicely. I can still taste the red wine vinegar. I like the flavor. Maybe you could add less, or maybe I'll try it again with actual wine. And there you are, guys, a vegan mushroom risotto. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. If you try this, let me know what you think.